hopes to replace 80% of humanity. It's not enough that these people already own everything they could ever want. They could.
They're greedy, bruh. They're greedy. It's all about power. It's all about power. Yeah, it's money. Oh yeah, it's not just about money. It's also about power. You give these motherfuckers an inch, they're gonna take a mile. That's just what it is, bro. Greed is destroying the world. You know what I'm saying? Greed is destroying the world. I agree. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, anybody who's a billionaire, you cannot be trusted. You cannot trust a billionaire. Now, I think that is something, I think that's an advice that everybody knows. You should never trust a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? How do you become a billionaire in the first place? What do you have to do to become a billionaire? You know what I'm saying? Right? Now, I'm not saying all billionaires are bad, but generally a lot of them are bad. You know what I'm saying? You know, greed, you know what I mean? And we have examples like, you know, Elon Musk. He's a greedy billionaire. How much more money does he need? Right? So let's get to this video, man. Let's see what's going on with this man.
Last 3 years, I've heard over and over again that a recession is about to hit. The stock market.
We've been in this recession, I'm pretty sure. What the fuck?
It is going to crash. The housing prices are going to come back down to earth any day now. And yet somehow all of these things keep not happening. And for most people, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, wait, I'm done. Sorry, I'm stupid.
What do you mean the economy's good? My dentist just tried to get me to sign up for a credit card. Since the pandemic, the cost of living has skyrocketed. Inflation is out of control. Groceries have never been more expensive. Layoffs are happening at an alarming rate. At this point, a college degree might be more likely to get you into crippling debt than it is to help you find a job. And even if you have savings, you're more than likely one stroke of bad luck away from losing it all to medical bills.
Damn. Sorry, I'm stupid. I said that we're in a recession. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I don't, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to the economy and all that shit, I don't pay attention to that shit. I don't give a fuck about the stock market or none of that because I don't have any assets. So why should I give a fuck? I don't own nothing. The fuck? But the reason why this kind of shit's happening that he's explaining right here is all because of greedy oligarchs. It's just that simple. Oligarchs run this country. It's the reason why, like, I mean, look at our president. Our president is for the billionaires. That's just a fucking fact. He's giving more tax cuts to billionaires than the people. And he's continued to take away people's, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
And yet some people will look you right in the eyes and tell you, I don't know what you're talking about. The numbers are green.
You don't own none of these asses, niggas. Shut your dumb ass up. That's the first thing you should tell these people.
The problem is each of these people are kind of correct in their own way.
Yeah.
This is the best the economy has ever been if you already have money. If you bought a house 5 years ago, there's a chance it's already doubled in value. If you invested in the S&P 500 in 2021, you could be up as much as...
The average person to buy a house nowadays is like 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? And then what makes it worse is that you have the 50-year, you know, mortgage plan that some idiot decided to come up with. I'm not going to say his name, but you could say his name. I don't know who the fuck did that, but I don't know. It just seems like these billionaires just keep taking everything away from us. I don't know. Just, you know, BlackRock, you know what I'm saying? Them motherfuckers, they own all the houses. They owning all these properties. I don't fucking know, bruh.
80%. And that's not like saying, you know, you'd be rich if you just bought Bitcoin in 1973. That's just the regular stock market. You didn't need to have some genius level of foresight to be able to do that. You just needed to already have a bunch of cash sitting around. And obviously for the overwhelming majority of people, that is not the case. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not thinking about the stock market. If you're in your 20s, you haven't even been working long enough to save any money to invest. You don't get to benefit from rising home equity if you...
And the problem is that they make it hard on purpose, bruh. They make it so that they keep all the wealth to themselves. That's all this is about. It's all about power, bruh. These billionaires and a lot of these politicians that are for billionaires as well, I'm telling y'all, bro. It's all about money. It's all about power. You know what I'm saying? They're just hoarding it for themselves, right? But, hey, you know, hopefully something turns around.
You don't own a house. The only thing this graph represents to you is how much further away that dream is getting. Right now, the average age of home buyers is 59 years old.
Oh, it's 59? Not for me, nigga. It's gonna be 25. I'm gonna get a house by 25.
Depressing statistic. This is the problem with an economy that disproportionately benefits asset holders instead of the people still trying to earn them.
So
Wealth
billionaires
grows exponentially, but wages aren't even outpacing inflation, which means if your salary hasn't been going up every year, you're effectively making less money. Meanwhile, the fastest way to make $1 million is to just already have 10 million. Leave it in an investment account for a year and congratulations, you now have $11 million. At a larger scale, this is why it feels like there's two different economies happening and they're both moving in opposite directions. 50% of the stock market is owned by the top 1% and only 1% is owned by the bottom 50%. Don't let somebody tell you that these numbers going up should discredit your own lived experience. Don't let
bruh, and all you gotta tell them is that you don't have any assets you don't own. You don't own anything. And even if you own something, it's not gonna last. It'll degrade over time. It's not going to help sustain some sort of, you know, wealth to it. You know what I mean? You get what I mean? Like, or value. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have assets. Why are you looking at the stock market, bro?
Somebody who's benefited from untaxed inheritance or years of compound interest granting them passive income tell you that your problem is you're just not working hard enough. No, the real answer is, sorry, you should have been born sooner. Have you thought about that? Maybe instead of wasting all that time farting around kindergarten class, you should have been investing in real estate. It's not my fault you're lazy. People are getting squeezed in every direction while also being gaslit into thinking that it's somehow our fault. There's CEOs in earnings calls bragging about how they get to make customers pay for inflation so they don't have to. The economy is so bad right now, I'm about to segue into an extremely ill-timed brand deal in a video about greed. You think I like looking like a hypocrite? Of course not. But my avocado toast isn't going to pay for itself. Hi, I'm Upside Down, and I'm here to tell you about today's sponsor, NordVPN.
Oh no!
With your
oh no!
That's where
Skip.
You are as a guy. Thinking of NordVPN for session is because the GDP is still going up.
Okay.
The only reason the GDP is still going up is because of the AI industry. But the only reason that even looks as good as it does is because a handful of companies are just like passing money back and forth. But there's no recession. You're hallucinating that. Because the AI industry is now single-handedly propping up the entire global economy, there's really only two paths forward. Worst case scenario, turns out it is all bullshit. The bubble pops in spectacular fashion, trillions of dollars of investments cannot get paid out, and everything goes up in flames. Or best case scenario, a few billionaires get even richer. Wait, is that what we're hoping for? All right, you're gonna have...
Let me guess what two of them are. I know what two of the billionaires are. For fucking sure.
Bear with me while I go on another AI rant here. I know I do this like every 6 months, but it's not going away. It doesn't count as beating a dead horse if the horse is still alive. We got to kill that horse first. People largely do not like AI and are worried about the future it imposes. It's currently being used to make a bunch of promises that almost no one asked for. The main appeal of it comes from corporations who see advancements in AI as a way to further reduce their dependence on human labor.
Yep. And it locks people out of the market, bro. It keeps them wealth. That's all it's about. It's all about power. It's all about holding all the wealth to themselves. That's all it is.
The only thing cheaper than outsourcing jobs is just eliminating them altogether. The wet dream that soils the sheets of every CEO is a company that's somehow run entirely on its own, and they can just sit back and collect all the profits for themselves. No more dealing with pesky labor laws or health insurance or, can I have Saturday off? My family died. No! Shut up. That's the eventual goal, and why they're all pouring billions of dollars into NVIDIA chips and data centers and cool shirts for Mark Zuckerberg. And in the meantime, we're stuck with ChatGPT, a humanized Google search designed to affirm whatever belief you share with it, even if it's incredibly dangerous, or generative video apps that are already being used to trick people into thinking something happened that didn't.
Still got some sharp mouth while trying to steal some package. She probably thought it was food. Damn. I can't say what I'm thinking, but, you know, just say it. Say it, you know you want to. I'm thinking it too. Sure do. Is this real? And why is she black?
Actually happen. Awesome technology. I'm so glad this exists. And I think the best thing we can...
There's nothing wrong with black people. I'm just saying, like, why did it have to be a black woman trying to steal a package? right? Black women already get enough shit, right?
Do to fight back against AI is to simply not engage with it. The problem is, even if you don't use these tools, if you live in certain parts of the country, you might be paying for them. There's been a lot of really good investigative journalism done on all these new data centers that are popping up around the country, who's funding them and who's getting screwed over in the process. For example, some residents in New Jersey who noticed that their power bill kept going up, even though they were actually using less electricity than usual. Well, it turns out it's due to an overall supply cost. Basically, when the total amount of electricity usage in an area goes up, power companies tend to pass.
So that's why my phone bill just be up $20 for no fucking reason. Okay,
those higher costs.
That's good enough.
Customers. And for the past several years, electricity usage has been skyrocketing, with over half of that increase coming solely from data centers. Your utility bill is going up because Elon Musk wants to pretend to have a girlfriend. You see, AI doesn't just exist in some theory.
And one of those 2 billionaires is Elon Musk. You know what I'm saying? Instead, Elon, I hate this motherfucker Elon Musk. I hate him so much. Why are you here, bro? Why are you here? Can you just leave, bro? If I could deport anybody, it'll be you, nigga. You know what I mean? I mean, ICE ain't coming after you. You're white. Why would they deport a white guy? Why would ICE come after a white person? You know, right? So, I mean, shit.
Theoretical space. It has to be trained on trillions of gigabytes of data, and that data has to be stored in a physical location. To power this, it requires an absurd amount of electricity, which generates an absurd amount of heat, which then requires an absurd amount of water to cool off. Most of these buildings use over 1 million gallons per day, roughly the equivalent of 10,000 people. This would be even more problematic if they were being built in areas where water is extremely scarce. So we should be good as long as we don't build a bunch of them in like the middle of the desert. Whoops. But to be fair, they are extremely efficient about it. They don't just use the water, they also poison it. Every part of this process is wasteful and destructive, and this is only the beginning. AI is still a relatively new phenomenon, so we're only just starting to see the effects of this. But the Department of Energy projects that the percentage of electricity used by data centers could nearly triple in just the next 3 years.
By 2028. Oh, brother. Dude, brother. Hey, bruh. We gotta stop letting billionaires run this country, bro. We really do. We really do need to stop letting billionaires run this country. I think that's the biggest fucking problem. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't vote for a billionaire, be careful, because the other person might have supported billionaires as well. They might not be one themselves, but you know what I mean. It's fucking bullshit, bro.
And who gets to pay for it? We do. It's hard for me to accurately express how infuriating this is. The giant buildings that...
Yeah, nothing's being done to stop this, by the way. Nothing is being done. Nothing is being done.
Power this stupid fucking technology are being subsidized by people who just happen to live near them. Oh, but hold on, because they're technically contributing to the operating costs. So does that mean that they get to share in the eventual profits? No, of course not. They're more like involuntary investors doing it for free, or really worse than free, because a lot of them are being kept awake at night by the deafening hum endlessly emitting from the factory shoved into the backyard of their homes that have now surely plummeted in value as a result. But hey, at least they're doing all of this to make a product that hopes to replace 80% of humanity. It's not enough that these people already own everything they could ever want. They could...
They're greedy, bruh. They're greedy. It's all about power. It's all about power. Yeah, it's money. Oh yeah, it's not just about money. It's also about power. You give these motherfuckers an inch, they're gonna take a mile. That's just what it is, bro. And unfortunately, we have one in office, bro. We have one in office. You know what I'm saying?
So easily afford to pay for these things without even noticing that that money is gone. But why would they do that when they could simply have poor people pay for it instead? Because nothing will ever be enough for them. You know, when a rich person makes some shady deal to screw over the working class, people will joke that they just need that money to buy their 4th yacht. And like, I don't even think it's that. They could buy 1,000 yachts and still...
It's all about power, bro. It's all about power, bro.
Not run out of money. They don't want to spend their wealth. They just want...
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker, bro. That nigga should be front standing in the middle in front of all these motherfuckers. And oh, there's Elon Musk. Actually, look at him glowing. Nigga thinks he's Jesus. The fuck?
Get bigger. It's the same obsession with seeing number go up that keeps me addicted to old school RuneScape, except the only life that's ruining is my own. What they have is a disease. They have been scourged with the blight of insatiable greed, cursed to an endless pursuit of wealth that will never bring them true happiness. I would almost...
They fucking hate themselves. That's why.
Feel bad for them if they weren't actively destroying the world in the process. One of the most frustrating things about this problem is that if you even try to suggest that maybe these guys should just have a little bit less money, like you guys can still be rich, whatever, just turn it down a notch because you're kind of making shit terrible for...
Top 1% of U.S. households hold 15 times more wealth than the bottom 50% combined. Yeah, it's all about power. These billionaires are going, I'm telling you guys, and look, Donald Trump, for example, right? Right, we're getting a little political, right? I mean, I kind of guess you kind of already are. Basically, yeah. Donald Trump, right? This billionaire, right? Right, this billionaire. This guy that is giving all of these tax breaks to these, billionaires and shit, giving all the wealth to them, right? You know what I mean? But, like it's so dumb, though, because they're, I swear, bruh. Wow. This country has fallen. It really fucking has, bro. It really has. I feel like our country was always like this, though. I'm gonna be honest. You know what I mean? Since the beginning, bruh. When you look at the history of our country and what we've done to other nations, oh my god. Look, you know what we had, you know why Haiti is the way that it is, right? You know why Haiti is like that, right? It's because of us. It's because of America. Well, really, white supremacist America and France. France fucked over Haiti, but it's always white people that fucks over, you know what I mean, other people. I don't get why. I don't know. It's just, hey, I don't know. It might be in the niggas' DNA. I don't know. But when I see, like Trump, bruh, and then this ugly motherfucker, the king of autism, but I'm gonna stop talking.
You're treated like you're crazy. No, this is the American way. If you don't like it, then leave. And yet these ideas aren't radical. They're not even new. Most people who advocate for a more progressive tax system are only calling for a return to something that used to exist in this country. We just forgot about it. So I think it's important to do a little history lesson here. If you can believe it, there was a time where the working class in this country actually had it really good. And it was mostly because things got so bad during the Great Depression that the government was worried about the country collapsing. Thousands of banks had closed, millions of people lost their entire life savings, unemployment peaked at 25%. So in fear of a revolution happening, the government was like, all right, fine, we'll give you livable wages. Just please put that musket down. I don't like the way you're looking at me. So the New Deal was born, and with it came Social Security, better labor standards, the right to unionize, a national minimum wage, an 8-hour workday. And over the next 2 to 3 decades, America became the most prosperous country on earth. Productivity.
You see, when we get a socialist president that actually cares for the people and benefits the people, you see that our country becomes more prosperous. Meanwhile, when you let oligarchs run the country or dictators, the countries, usually aren't doing as well. Like, why? Like, I don't get this shit, bro.
Skyrocketed, and
we can all be successful. I don't get this shit.
Profits weren't just redistributed to employees, but their employers were
so ridiculous
to do it. They would brag about how lucrative it was to work for them. Look, 37% of profits went to our employees last year because this is a team effort, and when we win, they win. In 1943, Johnson & Johnson puts out this mission statement that's like, here's our list of priorities in order. Customers number 1, we got to make good products. Employees number 2, everyone who works here needs to feel valued and respected. Our community, number 3, we all want to live in a better world, and as a company of our size...
See, these are like socialist policies. These are not even policy, just socialist ideas. Like what? Like, you know what I mean?
We feel like it's our responsibility to contribute to that however we can. And finally, all the way at the bottom, our shareholders can just have whatever's left. Of course, we need to make a profit to survive and grow, but that should just come naturally as a byproduct of focusing on these 3 tenets. Compared to modern corporate standards, this is all such a foreign concept that it almost sounds like it's coming from a fictional universe.
The problem isn't that, like, here's the thing though. The government got involved. Trump is not going to stop billionaires from making more money. He does not care about you, right? He does not care about me or you. He does not care about, especially if you're, oh my gosh, if you're Hispanic, bro, even if you're black or brown people, including myself, like, bro, if ICE comes, bro, you better be scared, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hold on, the fuck you doing? You know what I mean? Like, but like, what am I yapping about? Oh yeah, but like, the reason why these standards were held is because the government got involved and put in policies for the fucking people. It's just that simple.
But this actually
it's
happened.
that simple.
This was just
That's simple.
America 70 years ago. Now, during this time, what do you think the tax rate was on the wealthiest Americans? For reference, in 2025, the highest income tax bracket is supposed to be around 24%, but because of how many ways there are to circumvent the rules, it often ends up being as little as 3%. For some
Wow.
like Elon Musk, who doesn't take a salary from Tesla and instead just owns a large percentage of its stock, as long as he doesn't sell any of that stock, then technically there's no income to tax him on. Now, he can still leverage the value of those stocks to make purchases, you know, like how money works, but it's still not taxable because of the rules. This is how people like him and Jeff Bezos can be, in terms of net worth, two of the richest people on the planet, and in some years pay $0 in taxes. In the middle of the 20th century, the tax rate on the ultra wealthy was not 3%.
It's because it's like when you have politicians that are president and they give tax breaks to these motherfuckers, they're gonna take more and more advantage. If you allow these motherfuckers to be like this, they're going to do this shit. If the government can finally get involved and create policies that keep these people from becoming, you know, stealing, just keeping all the wealth for themselves in the economy. Like, it, you know what I mean?
Percent or 20% or even 50%. It was between 70 and 94%.
What the
It
fuck?
honestly sounds crazy, but even a lot of the people being taxed understood that it was necessary for society to continue to exist. And having a strong middle class was a crucial investment into the future of the country. But I don't know, man. I just think it's kind of interesting that during what's referred to as the golden age of capitalism, the government did a bunch of socialism. During the...
Yeah, exactly. We had a socialist president. And that's why that motherfucker was his name? It was FDR? FDR? He had 3 terms. He got 3 or 4 terms, yeah. And then that's when they started. You see that, bro? Crazy when you finally get a president that is actually for the people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, bro.
Period of time that the idea of the American dream, the government was taxing the absolute shit out of the richest Americans and using that money to provide jobs and welfare programs for everybody else. A single income household working a regular ass job could afford to start a family, buy a house, send their kids to college, and retire at a reasonable age. No wonder people who grew up then gush about capitalism the way they do, because for them, it was great. But at this point, it is disingenuous to use that time period as the example for why capitalism works. Because
when you mix capitalism and socialism together, bro, you know what I'm saying, you get a prospering nation is literally all this nigga is just trying to say. You gotta have a mixture of both. You can't be all capitalist because you'll have what we have right now. If you be all socialist, then we won't, you know what I mean? Like, we won't have a culture. We will be socially, dysfunctioning. And that's the problem. We don't have a good mixture of the two. When you have two parties that are so separate from each other, right, that they can't come together for agreements, that's the problem right there. You know what I mean? Because I don't think all politicians are bad. I just think that there are a lot of bad ones, especially the billionaire ones, the people who, you know, get funded by other nations to have soft powers in our country, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, you get what I mean. It's ridiculous, bro. It's fucking dumb. But when you have presidents that don't really do anything to stop this kind of shit from happening, this kind of what happens, you know, more specifically Trump, you know what I mean?
Right. That version of it stopped existing a long time ago. The generation of people who started as beneficiaries of a more equitable system changed the rules once the roles were reversed and they had the power. So what the hell happened? Everything was going great. What changed? Well, there were a lot of things, obviously, but one of the first big dominoes was the US's involvement in the Vietnam War, which was expensive and deadly, but to be fair, also accomplished nothing. And this had long-term ramifications.
Yeah, we lost.
Vacations. America had been diverting so much money away from manufacturing and towards defense that it opened the door for other growing industrialized countries to surpass them. More and more products were becoming cheaper to import than they were to produce. This led to factories getting shut down, unemployment starting to creep back up. A recession hits, and we're now facing a pivotal fork in the road in the late 70s. Either we could go back to what worked in the past, prioritize the working class, reinvest into our own infrastructure, try to help lift people out of poverty.
It's because, like I said, when you have oligarchs that run this country, they won't allow that shit to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
they've fallen into through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
Or we say, fuck the government. We don't owe you shit. We're stupid, isn't that right? I don't even know my own name. Exactly. The deal is you pay taxes and we don't do anything. And you like that, right? They like that? Sounds good to me. The prevailing philosophy throughout the 80s became trickle-down economics. The logic being, oh man, these rich people are really handcuffed. You know, I bet if we lowered the corporate tax rate from 70 all the way to eventually 28%, then companies will use all that extra money to pay their employees more. I mean, if there's one thing we know about rich people, is that they're always looking out for the little guy. Now, for some reason, this hasn't worked out yet, but it's only been 55 years, so the jury's still out. See, I would argue that part of the reason why...
Yeah, I wonder why it hasn't fucking worked. Huh?
Companies in the 40s and 50s were so generous with their extra profits was because the tax rate was so high. I mean, think about it. If you're faced with the decision between giving a huge chunk of money to the government or redistributing it back to the employees who helped you earn it in the first place, you would be much more likely to do the latter because it's an investment in your own company. It's a mutually beneficial exchange. Well-compensated workers.
If there aren't policies in place that don't force billionaires into doing that kind of shit, they're just going to steal all the wealth for themselves and do whatever the fuck they want. That's all this is, bro.
Are proven to be more loyal and more productive, and those are two things that you want. Now, there were other factors as well, loosening a lot of anti-monopoly regulations, the legalization of stock buybacks, but this dramatically lower tax rate is a big reason why the 80s serves as the dividing line on just about every economic graph you could look at. This was the beginning of a long and continuous transfer of wealth from the working class to the top 1%. And while it would be very easy to just blame all of this on then President Reagan, that would only be mostly true. Sure, this new approach opened the door for more exploitation and greed, but you still needed a few scum
Ronald Reagan, oh man,
bags willing to go through that door for the evolution to be complete. And nobody sprinted through it faster than one man. The real-life cartoon villain who designed the blueprint that most modern CEOs are still following to this day. His name was Jack Welch, and he's often referred
I've heard of this guy
as the man who broke capitalism. During his tenure as CEO of General Electric, he turned the once quintessential American company that reshaped people's lives and supplied hundreds of thousands of high-paying jobs all across the country into a worthless carcass and a joke of a corporation, all while he became one of the richest people on the planet.
Yeah, because he's a greedy piece of shit. He's a bad person. He's evil. He does not care about anybody else except for himself. He's selfish. He's greedy. All he cares about, you know what I mean? The more money, more power. All it is, bro.
A century before Jack Welch took the reins, GE invented things like X-ray machines, jet engines, TVs, radios, and just about any kitchen appliance you can think of. In the 1980s, Jack invented laying people off. That was his big idea. What if we just fire a bunch of people? And then we don't have to spend as much money. It seems so simple and obviously very commonplace today, but before Jack, companies were not doing this. It was almost seen as un-American to fire somebody unless you absolutely had to.
But part of the reason why is because, like, I feel like we don't do enough to address these issues, at least not back then. Now we are, because now we're all feeling it, but, like, I feel like people just, there was just a time period where people just didn't care. You know what I mean? They just, you know what I mean? I don't know, bro. I don't know. Maybe I'm just yapping, but when you, bro, we gave these billionaires power. That's just what it is. We gave them the power. You know what I'm saying? They compromised our government and we gave them the power. Yeah.
Jack didn't think like everybody else. He was a pioneer. He bravely instituted the rank and yank system where every year the bottom 10% of employees would get laid off no matter what. Not because they all deserve to be fired, but just because they fell on the wrong side of a spreadsheet. What's that? You were 3 years away from retirement and now you no longer qualify for pension? Okay. Then die. And to be clear, the layoffs were also not because the company wasn't profitable. It very much was, but it just wasn't profitable enough. See, when you routinely shut down entire facilities, you uproot thousands of lives, you create a toxic and selfish work environment where loyalty is replaced with fear, and if you're a company with the size and influence that GE had at the time, you can almost single-handedly destroy any semblance of a middle class across all of America. But this number gets a little bit bigger. So it's kind of a fair trade. GE was at the forefront of this countrywide...
You don't own any assets, bro. Why do you care about that shit, bro? Niggas who say shit like that, you don't own any assets. You don't fuck.
Philosophical transition.
You don't own anything.
That cared about making things and rewarding the
You haven't invested into fucking anything.
To an economy that only cared about shareholder value and would prioritize anything it could to make that number go up. But the thing about the stock market is it's mostly just about perception. As long as something seems to be growing in value, then people will be more likely to invest in it, which will in turn cause it to be more valuable, even if it shouldn't be. A lot of what Jack did during his time as CEO did not make the company better, but it did make it bigger. And in the eyes of Wall Street, that was all that mattered. I mean, come on, a business that relies on something boring like selling products can only grow so much. But a company that's constantly acquiring other companies simply has no ceiling. I mean, they could be worth infinity dollars when you think about it. So that's what they did. Over the next few decades, GE bought and sold hundreds of companies, and Jack was lauded for his brilliance because from the outside, everything seemed to be working. I mean, sure, they were becoming a bloated, nonsensical hodgepodge of unrelated businesses, eroding the company's infrastructure and prioritizing constant quarterly gains over any long-term sustainability.
Like I said, it's all about power. It's all about power. Oh, it's all about wealth. And no, the reason why, bro, the more wealth you have, the more control you have, bro. That's you know what I mean? When you, hey, bro. Oh my gosh.
But no one gives a shit because the stock price has never been higher. They've stumbled upon an infinite money glitch. They're just alchemizing value out of thin air. It gets to a point where the company founded by Thomas Edison doesn't even make their own light bulbs anymore. It's cheaper to get them somewhere else. Who cares? All they care about now is their ballooning financial division. They're issuing high interest loans. They become a massive holder of subprime mortgages, a famously good investment to make in the early 2000s. Literally whatever it took to juice the numbers, that's what they would do. After about 30 years of short-term decisions that received instant gratification from shareholders but were gradually making things worse for the company and its dwindling number of employees, GE had become severely overvalued. And it wasn't until right after Jack retired with his $400 million severance package where his successors stepped in and were like,
wait, this doesn't make any sense.
The time bomb.
It's because he stole all the wealth for himself.
Jack planted explodes in their faces, and GE spends the next 20 years slowly bleeding out. And at this point, they couldn't fall back on just like selling microwaves because they'd been cutting corners on production so long that nobody wanted to buy any of their shitty garbage anymore. And of course, they had fallen way too far behind on innovation because they spent all their money on acquisitions instead of research. By 2021, the company that helped bring electricity to America was mercifully laid to rest, split into three.
And that's what these billionaires are doing to our country.
Separate institutions, none of
what he just did right there, that is literally what they're trying to do.
GE once had over the American economy. But here's the thing. You know who isn't affected at all by the cataclysmic downfall of General Electric? Jack Welch. Because he's dead now. He already got to live his entire life of luxury and adoration without ever having to deal with the fallout caused by his actions.
Also, another thing is that, like, this Jack Welch guy, he's a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like, you're known for burning your, you know what I'm saying, a company that was been around since, you know, like
he took
you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
Rock solid foundation and just kept scrapping it for parts until the only thing left for it to do was collapse under its own weight. But by that point,
That's what's gonna happen to this whole country, bruh. You keep letting billionaires do whatever the fuck they want.
He was long gone. I believe that this is the goal of those who now follow in his footsteps. They don't need to care about whether or not what they're doing is harmful or unsustainable. As long as the facade can be maintained long enough for them to reap the rewards, it doesn't matter that the ship is sinking behind them because they
don't care.
have a lifeboat. It doesn't matter that America's spent the past 60 years exporting all its jobs and decimating the economies of small towns all across the country because a few hundred people.
It's gonna take a really long time to get back to that point. Or it's gonna take a really long time.
People responsible for those things already got to live long, happy lives. They don't give a shit.
This cutthroat corporate culture that Jack pioneered is still seen all around us today, and through the magic of time, it's only getting worse. CEOs make $1,000
This video,
second.
bro, I've seen this video. You know what's crazy? There was motherfuckers defending this motherfucker, bro. And this motherfucker was going up to him, was like, hey man, like, I'm a big fan of you, man. I really fuck what you do. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's making like a fucking penny compared to this nigga.
While their employees have to piss in water bottles so they don't fall behind. Routine layoffs, regardless of if a company is even struggling, are so normalized that it's just something we've come to expect. The stock market rules the world. Every major decision is dictated by this inherently volatile and short-sighted metric. And look at where that's gotten us. Millions without jobs, and
and it's because these people are retarded. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're just winging it. They're just coming up with these short-term solutions that fuck us all in the end. You know what I mean? Like, that's gonna, you know what I mean? That's what's going on, and we're getting hit with that, and that's why you're seeing all these protests. You're seeing people getting pissed off. You're seeing people talk about this shit more and more and more, and it's gonna continue until people rise up and we do something and we rebuild this country from basically scratch, to be honest, bro. I'm gonna be honest.
Shitification epidemic and a concentration of wealth that should be seen as a threat to humanity.
If you can rent Venice for your wedding, you can pay more tax. Facts.
Even while owning
everything. Nah, y'all niggas is stupid. Hold on.
Wealth that should be
look at this nigga. Yo, look at that nigga. Oh my gosh, yo, y'all niggas is funny as fuck, bro.
As a threat to humanity.
I'm glad people are protesting, bro. Protest,
even while owning everything, billionaires live in fear of losing it. So they weasel their way into politics. They influence elections. They buy policy changes. They use their wealth to reshape the world to benefit them even further. They try to control narratives by buying up news outlets. They can dictate what's on our social media feeds. They spend an enormous amount of resources on pitting us all against each other.
And guess what? It's not working. It's not working. It's just making them worse. It's just making him worse. Yeah, this whole MAGA shit on X, bro. Elon Musk, you're a fucking moron, bro. Elon Musk, you're a dumbass. I'm telling you guys, these people are not smart. You might think they're smart. They're not smart. This nigga Elon Musk is an idiot. These motherfuckers be getting lucky. They got lucky, bro. They hit big and they just start winging it. Trying to steal as much wealth for themselves as they can before they go out or before we do something about it. And that's really what they're doing. They're trying to delay the inevitable. They know that we're gonna fucking run into that bitch and throw all these motherfuckers out, bruh. They know. They're just stealing as much as they can in the short amount of time that they have.
We're too distracted to see that the real problem is them.
Should the human race survive?
Everything kind of sucks right now, and as a result, most people are justifiably pretty angry. But for media outlets and politicians, that anger is their single most powerful tool because they can tell you where to direct it. And they don't even really care who it is, so long as it's not them. That's why it changes all the time. Sometimes it's trans people, sometimes it's immigrants. Most recently,
Black people,
been poor people. There's been
poor people, homeless people. There was a motherfucker on Fox News that said that we should kill homeless people, and someone actually went out and fucking did it. Right? I think the guy is Jesse Waters. Who watches Fox News? Get the fuck out of my face, bro.
Going on over food stamps because when the government shut down, 42 million Americans lost access to SNAP benefits. Now that's an objective piece of information, an inarguable statistic, but depending on how it's presented to you, it may lead you to draw a drastically different conclusion than somebody else. For some, it might put into perspective how dire the situation has gotten. Like, surely there's underlying issues with a system that's allowed 12% of its population to be unable to afford food. Alternatively, you might hear that and think, wait a minute, my tax dollars are paying for these greedy freeloaders? I'm busting my ass over here to barely make ends meet, and these leeches...
Oh, you're also funding a genocide. Did you know that? All those Palestinians, we fund that. We help with the genocide, bro. That's where your tax dollars are going into. And it's not just one, you know, these motherfuckers on the right, or it's all, a lot of the motherfuckers throughout our government on both sides of the spectrum are for supporting this genocide to make money for themselves. And that's what this country has gotten to. Our country is corrupted. Our country is broken. And the only way we be able to fix it is if we throw these motherfuckers out. And what these billionaires are planning to do, like Trump, is, at least what I think, you might not think this, but I think Trump is a fascist. He's a dictator. He's a wannabe dictator. When this Epstein shit comes out, all these billionaires are cooked. They're cooked, and they know that. That's why they're trying so fucking hard to fucking distract us with this government shutdown. Keep bringing up the Jeffrey Epstein shit. Seriously.
Are using my money.
Don't forget about that shit.
That's not fair. And all it takes is highlighting a story or two of someone taking advantage of the system to make you think there's this rampant issue that you're expected to feed all of these people with.
Oh my god, bro. Of course. Look at this dumbass nigga. Fucking MAGA hat. You can tell that's a MAGA hat, bro. Taxpayers are tired of paying for freeloaders. You mean people who can't afford food? Oh my gosh. Why is it our responsibility to feed others when I'm having a hard time not being on SNAP? Okay, and so you make it harder for other people? Like, I could give it, look, for all the people who are on SNAP benefits, EBT and all that shit, bruh, you buy whatever you want. You know what I mean? Just take care of yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? And when you start to make enough money where you don't need SNAP benefits, you know what I'm saying? Don't be against SNAP benefits. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm trying to say. Like, these people, they're cult followers. They're fucking morons. They have no independent thought.
Money you barely have enough of to feed yourself.
They're probably, one of them, this motherfucker probably walks around with a Crisis King shirt, American flag, of course, yeah.
This narrative has been used since the 70s because it's very effective. You work hard, they're lazy, this program is bad. It's easier than ever now to push this narrative because you can just AI generate a video of a fat lady screaming in Walmart and get everyone pissed off. But in order to properly analyze this, let's take a look at the data.
That shit is not working, bro. We're not stupid. That's the thing, though. Most people, like, you might think, yeah, there are a lot of dumb people in this country, but like most people are not stupid. They're like you and I. We know the truth. It's just when you have this small minority group of people that are so retarded and fucking loud, you know what I mean? Right? You know, whether it's the far right, you know, the alt-right, the MAGA fucking dumb fucks. I'm sorry, if you're a MAGA, you're a fucking moron. Donald Trump does not care about you, bro. Doesn't care if you starve.
First of all, SNAP only makes up about 1.5% of the overall federal budget. Less than an eighth of what we spend on defense, and an eighth of what we spend just on interest on the debt that we owe. By my math, cutting this program would only save the average taxpayer a couple $100s a year. And of course, that's assuming that if they were to cut it, they would send you a refund in the mail. No, I'm pretty sure they would still take the same amount, but instead of reinvesting it into the economy, which is what SNAP ultimately does, they would just buy some more missiles or send a pile of cash to Argentina. Second of
or sell a jet plane, you know what I'm saying, to a terrorist, right? Because that's what Trump did the other fucking day.
Well, by definition, the majority of SNAP recipients fall
under
the
shit is ridiculous, bruh.
Elderly, disabled, veterans, full-time caretakers, or just temporarily unemployed. Remember, not everybody who
oh, by the way, it was a F-35 jet. I think that's what it was called.
Isn't working does so because they don't want to. It is very hard to find and keep a job right now. The fact that SNAP spending ebbs and flows so closely with the overall state of the economy.
And look, I'll be honest, there's times where, like, I mean, I hate, look, 9 to 5, that is not going to be me my entire life. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not working on 9 to 5 my entire life. That's just me, though. But, like, I'm grateful to at least have a job so I can at least take care of myself. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's something that people don't appreciate enough. Is like, hey, at least I have a job. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't. A lot of people are struggling.
Could be proof that this program is primarily used for temporary relief. Even still, many of the people on SNAP do work, and about 70% of the ones that do work full time. That doesn't seem like a laziness problem, that seems like a wage problem. They need supplemental income to survive because of how little they're being paid. Of those full-time employees, their two most common employers were McDonald's.
I feel like a lot of the reasons why these billionaires and these people or politicians who support these billionaires are doing this is it's because of the whole Epstein shit, right? They don't want the Epstein shit to come out. That's why they want all the power to themselves. And that's a lot of the reasons why these motherfuckers don't ever want that shit coming out. Because if it did, their entire lives would be ruined, and we would get, you know what I'm saying? We throw their ass in prison. But nah, bruh. One day, bruh, I genuinely believe this. There's going to be a revolution, and it's going to be soon.
McDonald's and Walmart, who combined to earn $23 billion in profits last year. $23 billion, and you're telling me they can't afford to pay their employees enough so that they don't need government assistance? See, what that means is you wouldn't have to help pay for these people's food if their employer, a nearly $1 trillion corporation, just paid them a livable wage. You're more upset at the people using the program than the companies who have put them in a position where they even need it in the first.
And y'all motherfuckers get so offended when a nigga steal from Target or some shit, bruh. They a $1 billion company. They gonna be fine if you steal a $30 steak. They're good, bruh. Now, I'm not saying that you should steal. That's not a good thing to do. But if you see someone stealing, don't get too offended by it, bro. These greedy-ass corporations, bruh, they could easily make it easy for the average person. They could easily pay their employees more. They could easily do all these. Bro, these politicians could easily make it pass policies to force these billionaires to, to comply. But Donald Trump ain't gonna fucking do that. You know what I'm saying?
First place. Also, Walmart double dips here. The majority of food stamps are redeemed at Walmart. So not only do they save money by underpaying their staff, but their revenue then gets subsidized by this program because that's where people tend to use it. Final statistic, about a third of SNAP recipients, over 12 million of them, are children. What's the argument there? Are they not working hard enough? What, you don't want to get a job just because you're 7? Like, can we stop for 1 second to think about what you're saying here? You have let somebody convince you that in this situation, the only way to make your life better is if 12 million children starve. So I want to ask, who is more to blame here? A bunch of kids who got born into poverty, or CEOs with more money than anybody could spend in 1,000 lifetimes who expect you to solve the problem that they helped create?
For some people, it doesn't matter what you say.
They want that to be. Here's the thing, though. They could easily fix the problem, but they're not, because they don't care.
About capitalism, they will still go to war for it, even if it's not working for them. Statistically speaking, it's probably not. They'll try to criticize a multi-billionaire who's not paying enough taxes, and people will defend them like, hey, it's not their fault. They're just taking advantage of loopholes like any smart business person would. And you're like, okay, so then we...
Yeah, okay, so they're not paying their taxes, right? Dumbass nigga, bro. So they're not paying their taxes. They're taking advantage of loopholes. That means they're breaking the law. That's just another word for that, bro.
Agree, there's a problem with the rules, right? If they're just
the rules are bad.
The system, then maybe
Donald Trump said it himself, but he won't do nothing about it because he's a fucking moron and he's a piece of shit himself.
Maybe the system shouldn't be so easy to exploit. We've reached a point where a lot of the core principles of a free market no longer apply. Like the idea that you can vote with your dollar. I get to pick which businesses I support, therefore the best ones will succeed and the worst ones will fail. Yeah, except when one company is allowed to corner the market and price out all their competition, suddenly there isn't any.
And we would have small businesses tell us if they walked into a Walmart or a Costco, the retail price at those stores, the price on the shelves at those stores is lower than the wholesale price a small business is getting. And so there are huge disparities here.
And that's now feeding into itself, right? The more dire the economy is for everyone, the less freedom they have when they're deciding what to pay for. Amazon is certainly not the only place to buy things, but historically speaking, it's almost always the cheapest and most convenient. So how do you convince somebody who's also been forced to pinch pennies due to their own circumstances that they need to spend more time and money buying that same thing?
I ain't gonna lie, I use Amazon, bro. I'm not gonna lie. bro. I should probably not be using Amazon. But I actually use Amazon. I actually use that shit, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, Amazon just got, bro. Amazon really. See, and that's the thing. Now, when you even think about it, why am I funding a fucking $1 billion company, bro? See, that's why when you steal a jar of peanut butter from Walmart, I don't get offended. I don't give a fuck. But it's like, how you scam Amazon? How am I gonna scam Jeff Bezos? Let me stop. I'm just kidding.
From a local
I'm just kidding, you guys.
shop when they could just click 3 buttons and have it magically appear at their door in 3 hours. It's not even really fair to impose that because that person is also struggling. But then the cycle continues. The small business closes, Amazon and Walmart extend their reach even further, and once all competition is defeated, then they can just raise the prices to be whatever they want. They can train an algorithm to charge you the maximum price they think you'll pay at any given moment. Now, one of the most common
wait, hold on. I'm getting scammed?
Counter arguments you'll hear if you bring up the idea of raising taxes on the ultra wealthy is that, well, if you do that, they're just gonna leave. First of all, no, they're not. That's a bluff they've been using for years.
Shut the fuck up, nigga. I'm gonna leave this country and then shut the fuck up, nigga.
Perpetuated by media networks.
If you're really that worried, you would have already left. Shut the fuck up, nigga.
Owned by, you guessed it, rich people who don't want their taxes to go up. Sure, a few of them might leave, but the kinds of people who are willing to go to the trouble of moving their entire business from New York City to like Kissimmee, Florida, are probably already doing everything they can to avoid paying any taxes at all. It doesn't seem like a very productive mindset to cater to this parasitic minority at the expense of everybody else. Second of all, oh my God, can we grow some fucking balls here?
You don't understand. They're not gonna like it if we raise their taxes.
Do you hear yourself?
Oh. The poor billionaire gotta pay more money on taxes. Billionaires gotta pay more money on taxes. Oh no. And yeah, you could say, one thing I will say, yes, they will find loopholes, but like, this is why I don't like, bro. A motherfucker be like, oh, I'm gonna tax the rich more, and it to me is like, yes, that's a good thing, but at the same time, it's like, what are you gonna do to change the tax code? What are you gonna do to change that shit, bro? Are you actually gonna change the tax code? You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna change that shit, or are you just gonna keep it the same and just raise the price on the wealthy? You know what I mean? Look, bruh. Hey, it's the billionaires, man. The billionaires are the problem, man.
Do you hear how pathetic you sound?
The billionaire gonna pay taxes.
Man, that's it. It's over. They won. Your plan is that we should just give up and let the billionaires have whatever they want. But we've already tried that, and that's not working either. Third of all, this criticism is predicated on an idea that taxation essentially has a bell curve to it, where after a certain rate, your overall revenue actually decreases because people will lose the incentive to work as hard or, like you're saying, move away. With this in mind, there have been studies done by economists who believe that every country has its own ideal rate for maximum efficiency. However, the implication that raising taxes would cause the overall revenue to go down would only be true if we were on the tail end of this bell curve, and we are nowhere close to that. So if your main concern is to maximize total revenue, it's pretty clear which direction we should be moving in. Otherwise, the very metric your point is referencing contradicts the argument you're trying to make. Now, even having said all of that, I'm not going to sit here and act like just raising taxes is an immediate fix to all of our problems, because we'd still have to rely on elected officials to actually use that money in a sensible way.
That's another problem too. We have dumbass politicians that are retarded. Now, that's another thing too. A lot of these politicians that run for president, especially recently, they're all retarded. All of them. Oh my God. Oh my God, bro. And yeah, they might advocate great laws and they might advocate great things, but what are they going to do to make that happen? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are they going to do to make that happen. I guess you could say the same thing with like Trump, because Trump never has a plan for fucking anything, but you know.
I'd be happy to contribute more if I knew it was going to better healthcare or nicer parks or public transportation. But if my money's just going to be used to blow up a hospital on the other side of the world, then yeah, maybe I'd rather just give it to a food bank. I don't know all the answers, because at the end of the day, no matter how hard I try to expand my legacy beyond it, I'm still just the road work ahead guy. But I do know that this amount of wealth inequality that's showing zero signs of slowing down anytime soon is not sustainable. Turns out that every single thing in the world becoming a for-profit commodity, from housing to healthcare, is just a way to enrich a few people at the cost of many. And I have to wonder if we've finally reached a point now where the greed has gone too far, that it's now so impossible to ignore, that no amount of gaslighting about how the economy is good actually.
Exactly, bro. This shit's not working no more. People aren't stupid. People will eventually wake up, and it's already happening. It's been happening, bro. Most people aren't stupid. That's the thing. Most people aren't dumb. You know what I mean?
Will convince people who are dying because they can't afford to go to the doctor that this is just how life should be. History.
No, bro. You should, bro. Bro. Why don't we have free healthcare? Like, why don't we have free healthcare? Hey, man. I don't know, bro. That's the end of the video, man, bro. But like, why don't we have free healthcare? That's another good question. Where's the free healthcare? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, bruh, it's either you get some dumbass politician that doesn't know what the fuck they doing, or you get some greedy motherfucker that's lying out of his ass, acting like he or she is for the people. It's one of the two. And it's like, whoever you vote for and whoever you support in politics right now, you're fucked either ways. Like, it's ridiculous. But yeah, man, billionaires, the oligarchs have officially run this country. They have compromised our shit. They are distracting us, you know what I'm saying, the best that they can, but it's not working. Donald Trump's a fucking moron. A lot of these billionaire politicians, they're fucking morons. I mean, it's not gonna work. If they can't run their own businesses, they're gonna run this country to the ground, right? So, I mean, anyways, what do y'all think down in the comments down below? Video link, you know what I'm saying, his channel will be down in the description for this guy's video. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a good night. I love y'all, man. Peace.